All is welcome. I want to share my perspective here on this social media involvement over the Metcalf and Anthony case. It's just growing to be a mighty mess. And it seems like social media have drummed up their own case and it's turned this into something that it is not necessarily what it's about. But they have created their own narrative and actually using these two people who are both victims in their own rights. One is unalive, a victim, finality, and the other one living as a victim in his own mental torment. At the same time, people using them just for an age-old fight. These two young men don't have anything to do with this no more. It's not about them. It's about the people, what they want to talk about. I heard something out there on TikTok. Now, these are whole grown men and women having these conversations. You all, my name is Vanessa. Thank you for coming out to the channel. And there was a white man put up a post, and he said, let me get this straight. According to Black Logic, I never heard of Black Logic before, and the moral compass, if they put their hands on me, it's okay for me to stab them. In the comments, somebody said, yep. Now, these are adults responding to this video post. Another person said, that's called standing on business. Now, you all, didn't that statement come out sometime last year, standing on business? I don't know if it was a part lyric in a song, where they actually came from. But people picked it up and started running with it. Standing on business. You might have to let this window up. My air don't work in my car. I don't want to let the window up, but if it's bringing in too much noise, I might have to let it up. So, standing on business. Now, don't you know, this is not new for something to trend. Popular statements and gestures and all type of stuff. And it can start off all cute, and it don't mean a whole lot. But then, as with everything, something could start out one way and it take on a whole new life. So here people using this standing on business statement as justifying, you touched me, you looked at me wrong, you said something to me wrong, and I'm going to take action, whatever kind of action that is. So, again, I never heard no Black Logic before, but is that a thing? Is that something new too, Black Logic? Because you don't need that if that's called Black Logic. You're going to stand on business and say that if somebody touch you, it's okay to just go ahead and take them out. Where did you do that at? That's not no. So another person said, now separate from that post, another person said, you know, when I was growing up, my parents told me if somebody put their hands on you, you hit them back. Now I heard that too when I was growing up. I think a lot of people heard, somebody hit you, hit them back. But she went on to say, I say, by any means necessary, knock their heads out, head off, put them to sleep. Now come on. You may have understood one thing when you was a child. A child think as a child. But now you're a whole grown woman. And you're going to say by any means necessary to a child, then you're not a safe adult. You have no business having children in your custody. There's no proper grooming. They can't get advisement from you because the adults think on the level of child. So who's going to raise the children? So this Anthony case, or side of Anthony. He looked like a broken young man that he did not realize the ramifications of his actions. He actually looked like a kid that got caught up in his environment, his peer group, or his community, or maybe social media. Because you see what social media would do. They would create something and spend something in a direction that it don't necessarily have to go in. So young people, this is pretty much their world, social media. As far as us too, middle age, older people, a lot of people like social media. It has its good points and it has its evil points in social media. Things can take on a life and mess up somebody else's life. So here is this young man. He has such an innocent look on his face, like, I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do. I didn't mean it. Just a kid, because it looked like kid behavior that got out of control. Two young men, as boys generally do, pushing their little energy, asserting their little machismo. I'm a boy and I rough up. Isn't that kind of how boys are most of the time? Boys are rough. They even play rough. But in their aggression and they standing up to each other, this just got totally pushed out of proportion, out of control, and it went too far. Now he can't take it back. So the young man got to face his consequences. He got to take responsibility for what he did. There's a life that's been lost here. But from what's been designed here, it's not just about Carmelo. Now we get the window up. Carmelo Anthony. We got a lot of young people. We constantly seeing news reports of young people taking weapons, pew-pews, and stabbing objects and going into schools and unaliving other people's children. Then the parents are left to pick up the pieces and go in and claim their child. So this is just not one case. Could we, as broadly in society, could we take responsibility for this? Do we see that we in community, us adults, that we can take some type of claim on this? How we're showing up, what we say to our children. Are the children easily moved in their emotions? Are they're not learning to manage themselves well? No conflict resolution. It's if my emotions move me, if I'm upset, you're about to feel the wrath of my upsetness. Don't look at me wrong. Let alone put your hands on me. Because what's wrong with the boys doing they're moving each other around with their little fists? What's wrong with that? Well, at least somebody just got a little busted lip or a nose, they get over that. And everybody gets to go home. Rather than by any means necessary, as the lady said on another social media post. Even though there's a racial component there, Metcalf and Anthony, I don't see a racial factor there. It didn't start off that way, it didn't look that way to me. This could have been two kids of the same ethnicity. And guess what? If it was two kids of the same ethnicity, have a different story going on here, because only the racial component is the one that's selling. It get t-shirts made and caps made and bracelets made and all kind of stuff. People capitalize off stuff like this. This is money making. If it was two people, as it is every day, there's somebody going down today, right now while we speak. There's some kid is losing it. And some other kids coming up, unfortunately. But there's no story to be told behind that. There's no t-shirts to be made off of that. That gets a little bit of attention. But again, if it was Anthony with another black kid, then it would be, oh well, let his little narrow behind sit over there and let him deal with the consequences of his behavior. He got a long time to think about this. So do life even matter anymore? Does life matter? We say life matter, but does it really? I think there was another situation came up just this week. It was a 16-year-old white male unalived a female. No racial component there. Ain't nothing to talk about, nothing to see here. No t-shirts, no hats. But life don't matter. Let's not build no story off of that. that ain't worth talking about. We don't care about the kids. We don't care about how we're teaching the kids. We should care about the kids. God cares about the kids. God is always interested in the next generation. If God have to, look here, if God have to move, that's why it's not good to pity people. We're supposed to have compassion on people, those in the Christian kingdom. You know, change of information, a new philosophy of thinking. You don't pity people, you have compassion on people. Because we don't know how and what drove a person to the conditions and the mindset that they have. So when we're looking at these different events in society, then the Christian community should be standing up, because the more of a voice that gets spun out here of illogical thinking and rhetoric, there's supposed to be voices of logic that come on the internet and come on top of it. Bring more reasoning to this. Say, no, that's not the way of God. Because if God has to remove a situation, move kids out of an environment that's not safe for them, he'll move them. And just let the parents go ahead and grieve. As long as the children are kept safe, get the children out of that living environment, the parents gonna be all right. If God has to do that, he'll do that. He's concerned about the next generation. Guardians are not safe. So, again, what are we, the adults in the children's lives, what are we doing to them? Are we helping these situations? For children to walk into school, in classrooms, and light it up, because they mad. Somebody hurt my feelings. Or the adults in the school system not paying attention to the behavior change, the attitude change, and the temperament change of the children. So they can report that and elevate that on up. Escalate that to the next higher authority. See what's going on. Get this child into counsel. Let them sit down and talk to somebody. Let's see, evaluate home. What's happening? Instead of everybody going for bad. Because it seemed like, again, the Anthony young man, all the developments that's coming out and talking about the, his parents and their livelihood, he seemed like a sheltered young kid, protected child. But his environment, his peer group, or whatever this is out here on social media, and this celebrityism and all this rap music, and not just rap, I don't want to just put it on rap. People talk. Maybe he want to show a little toughness. I'm gonna be a bad guy when he ain't no bad guy. Ain't no need to throw no unnecessary labels on him either. Said, well, he's a thug. There's people on all levels commit crimes, then everybody should be called a thug. Just say the person committed a crime. How do you get to be thug all of a sudden? People committing white collar crimes, it's a crime. Should they be thrown over to thuggyism? I'm not gonna be on here long, you all. I need to jump off, but my name is Vanessa. I want to just pose that: are you and I the problem? The adults in these children's lives? Are we rational for them? Are we level-headed to talk them down? Now, these are 17-year-old kids. Nobody just walk around and check their 17-year-old high school backpack every day. Let me see. Open up your backpack like you might do a kindergarten kid. What's in that backpack? Let me see what you got. You got your lunch? You got this? You got your pencil and your paper? Hopefully you raised them to the point they get to high school. You can trust them to make good decisions. You don't know if they're getting ready to just go out and trying to prove something to their peers. Nobody knows that. Unfortunate events happen every day. Hopefully the events don't have to keep being to this ramification. Their kids just keep not being able to make it to adulthood. Here they go with their life thrown away, locked up, and thrown away over into a grave. You all be encouraged. And just think about that. Is it just the kids, or do we adults take responsibility for this too? Not for what the kids' action is, but for the influence over our society, our children. Take care. See how I get off this internet? Look like my button is not where I need it to be.